It's funny, man.
Yeah.
And good to know. All right, so I think we have time for it. I know we're kind of skipping through at
Let's
a good
do it.
pace, but I want to talk about this Biz Now piece because I know
Yeah.
that, again, this was on the fence, whether it was going to be on the docket or not. But and we don't need to go into a lot of detail, but I think it's worth talking about because it's something that we have mentioned in talks of, RealPage and algorithms and rent control and all of that, and then
have a little
meeting
bit of a
with
take.
national politics. What's your take?
So the point of this is that the bill that is the kind of omnibus bill that's currently being discussed in Congress has some provisions that would ban states from regulating artificial intelligence for the next decade. There's some protections for artificial intelligence, especially against regulation. And the argument here is that RealPage, which uses artificial intelligence in its rent setting algorithms, would be protected from bans against it. Recent bans that have been in place in certain places in the West, I think. And then there was also some bills that were being discussed last year. I remember going through some of them. There were some in California, maybe some in Washington, I believe. And I looked at the language. This is my take, is that RealPage loves calling it artificial intelligence. I think they like it. I think it is a great marketing tool. I still see it as an algorithm, but that's fine. It's a finer point that they can maybe.
I know.
Obviously,
obviously there's a difference, but like in the context of what we're talking about, the issues that people are having with it, like.
And I think that they would
using
also
a calculator to
appreciate being lumped in with that protection. That's nice for them. But some of and we talked about the language of these bills on the West Coast and in other places against like rent setting algorithms. Some of them are so broadly worded that if you use an abacus and called 3 landlords, you'd be in trouble with that. It doesn't need a artificial intelligence. It just needs, like, if you use computers and you talk to more than 2 other apartment buildings and determine their rent, then you fall within the technical, the intent or the spirit of the law, choose your one, but it's very broad. You could back a 1960s vacuum tube computer through the broadness of this bill.
So, I mean, do you see this if it gets passed, which is obviously it's not fully, it's working its way through.
It came through the committee,
Congress. Could this be a full relief for RealPage and basically to stop some of the lawfare, I guess, that's been applied to them, or but it's most of this has come from outside of the DOJ action. There's been a lot of local municipalities that are trying to push for the.
I think it is interesting because you're right, like some of the regulations were not necessarily, even on computers. It was like, can you share publicly or privately available information? It didn't deal with the number crunching. It dealt with like you're using your proprietary information and you're using it kind of like I don't know what the term is, but they have the
to collude.
Yeah, the kind of collusion. Yes, that's what it was. To establish rent in that way. I think though that it would be a benefit. I think it's a foothold it can help them in the courtroom. And they'll probably argue it, and they'll probably spend some more time. They'll be able to have their algorithms.
Well, because if the argument is, we can't regulate AI because it's going to, help in so many different ways that we can't even understand in so many different industries. It's hard to say, well, we can't apply that to this industry and that industry because. Yeah. I guess that I'm curious of what the reason would be, other than really making housing a protected industry that can't have any normal market pressures applied to it. Already is special because it's already a highly regulated industry to begin with.
I also thought that was interesting too, because at least if you can take the perspective of people that are against these algorithms that are giving them no choice and that are choosing for other people, I think that AI is a bigger boogeyman to me than like an algorithm or an equation or computer. It's this AI, you don't know what it's going to do next, versus like an algorithm. But that's a rhetorical point, maybe not a legal point. I just thought it was interesting.
And again, I think it's like, well, how is it being used? Like to what extent? And if the problem is price fixing or collusion and all the owners getting together, again, that never actually happened. Yeah. Are we using tools for market analysis to see where pricing is and doing price discovery, and I don't know how that trying to figure out what you should charge for your product based on like the market
Yes,
Like
that's what it is. That's
all
full
it
stop.
is.
That's what it is. And it's like, the programs that a gas station place or that a gas station would have to set theirs. I'm sure they have an algorithm of their own, and I'm sure a like a farmer will have I don't know, maybe algorithms like some of the huge
Yeah.
factory farms got to know where they're probably not calling each individual other farm, but I don't know. I'll have to ask farmer friends to see how they set their prices.
Well, we'll have to ask Will too.
I know. Our video editor is a
But I mean,
is a
if you
farmer.
think
I'm not
about
sure if he uses
when to, if you have all weather data information, past history,
yeah, throw that into
when how to plant.
throw that into your calculator, not your computer.
Yeah, get it say the way the DOJ.
Yeah.
But certainly plenty of industries are using AI and
yeah.
algorithms. The airlines are probably the most famous, but I mean even drive-through restaurants. I think Wendy's was thinking about adding like some like peak pricing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it isn't even necessarily to again maximize the price. It's more like to manage expiration schedules and to manage your rent roll and to make sure you're not like completely behind.
Not for nothing, rents went down. The time, and I think it was a timing as things worked through the courts, or maybe, but like by the time things came to a head in terms of the legal actions that were being pursued against RealPage and other rent setting algorithms, they had the evidence of like the last 2 years rents have been stagnant. So what do you want?
Do you think someone will make a correlation? And I have to look at the exact dates, but like rent declines related to DOJ and other actions. It's like, sure, rents started declining as soon as the DOJ started going after RealPage, rents started to fall.
But at the very least, and this is
correlation causation.
Yeah. At the very least, this is just shows like it was supply all along. The program that the landlords are using has much less of an effect. You cannot erase the effect of a new apartment moving next door and moving rents down. RealPage can try as they might, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, facts. All right, great episode of The Gray Report. Make sure you check out our latest episode where I interviewed Carl Whitaker, chief economist from RealPage. We had an incredible conversation, and that's a great reminder. You probably should be subscribed to the Gray Capital YouTube channel so you don't miss any of these great interviews. The weekly Gray Report, obviously, that Matt and I do, and you want to be signed up for the Gray Report newsletter, GrayCapitalLLC.com. It is the best multifamily newsletter on the planet. So GrayCapitalLLC.com. You can sign up. You will not miss a beat. Get all these reports and more sent to your inbox every Thursday morning with a quick recap on Sunday. All right. This has been a good week.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for another one.
All right. Catch you in the next episode. Thank you.